Hello and welcome to the 6th edition of the Humpday Bogart Special, and this week I will be talking about my third song on the album, which is called Sam. And for all of you Bogey fans, you probably guessed that is Sam Spade of the Maltese Falcon. And if you hear any snoring, on a separate note, if you hear any snoring during this, it's because my dog is in here with me. My Sealyham Terrier, Alfie. Fun fact, Sealyham Terriers were very popular in the 30s and 40s. Bogey did own one, and so did Alfred Hitchcock and Cary Grant. Cary Grant named his after his original name, which is Archie Leach. Fact, and this is Alfie, if you'd like to see him. He's quite old boy now. And I apologise, my room is a mess. Side dog fact. Maltese Falcon is one of my favourites. I think it's cemented. Bogey is one of my favourite actors at that point. I already really liked him by the In a Lonely Place, but I think all the characters I'd seen in Sabrina, Casablanca, The Big Sleep, and In a Lonely Place, they're quite, I don't know, not tired, but or cynical, kind of quite worn down by life kind of characters. And where Sam Spade, I found him really, well, the way Bogey did it was really quite bouncy, and he had a lot of energy, and he was very unpredictable, as the character's meant to be. And it felt quite a lot different to the other characters, and so it really cemented it for me. And the Maltese Falcon was written by Dashiell Hammett. I think I said that right. It's one of my favourite books too. I recommend you read the book because, I mean, John Huston, who directed it, and it was one of his first films, he tried to really stick to it, including all the lines. So, and all the actors got it really spot on. But there were just a couple of bits, one or two characters they took out, and a couple of scenes. Let's just say the Hays Code was not happy with a couple of scenes because there is a sex kind of scenes and in there, so you can't really have that. But it's a really good book. And John Huston was doing it, and it was meant to be for George Raft, but like many of those roles that Bogey ended up getting, George Raft turned them down, and Bogey got them, and they became classics. And he wouldn't work with John Huston because he was too new. But it worked for Bogey because he became lifelong friends with John Huston, and they made loads of great films. Peter Lorre was also in it, Mary Astor, and Sidney Greenstreet, along with a whole host of other very great actors. And many of those were also in, what's it called? Across the Pacific, which I really like. But they just get them all spot on, really. My favourite couple of facts about the films is John Huston made Mary Astor run round and round the studio before she would do her parts because he wanted the character to sound breathless. So poor Mary had to go for a run. And then Sidney Greenstreet. That was actually one of his first films because he was more of a stage actor, and he was 61 by that point, and that was his first film. That he's perfect for the role. But he was very, very large, and they actually had to make the chair he sits in Sam's apartment. They actually had to get made specifically for Sidney because he was too big. Which is a fun fact. I don't know who owns that chair now, but it looked like a very big chair. So that was a good film, and John Huston just does a great thing. But apparently they shot it all in sequence, so all the way through they didn't kind of shoot it in different parts of the film. They did it chronologically. That's what I'm saying, which worked really well for how it is, and the camera angles. This is what was the original film noir. Because of the camera angles, the way John Huston was trying to portray the characters and the lighting and things. So that's where film noir comes from. And I just recommend you watch it. It was also one of Bogey's kind of main lead role. He hadn't really had he hadn't had a lead role up until then. He had done really well in High Sierra with Ida Lupino, which is also a really good film. It's a crushing film, but it's a great film. So this was his big break, really, and this catapulted him forward, basically. And so when I came to write this, it was the moment where I decided, because I had already written 2 songs after watching those first couple of films, I thought, well, maybe I'll try it out, give it a go, see if I can write one for this one. And this one came quite quickly, actually, afterwards. It worked really well. Slightly embarrassing confession of what it is, because the song is a confession on having a crush. I'll admit, not only did I realise I liked Bogey as an actor, I also knew I liked Bogey in a crush kind of way. And Sam is the epitome of that. And so basically, the idea hit me when I was after I'd watched the film. Maybe it was the second time, or it was the first time. I sat there, turned it off, and then I was kind of just overawed by that feeling. And I kind of sat there and said, I actually said it out loud because no one else was in the house. I said, "Oh, you stupid girl. You've got a crush on him, haven't you?" And I kind of said out loud, "Where do we go from here, Sam?" And then I realised actually that works very well. And that's part of the chorus. So that's where that comes from. But the song kind of epitomises that feeling, or the way you think about things when you do have a crush on someone, or if you have a crush on like basically when you have a crush on an actor or a character or someone you're really going to be able to talk to, and just the feeling of having a crush on someone, it's difficult because you can't do anything about it. Bogey died in 1957. Nothing you can do about that, but it doesn't mean that he wasn't attractive. Or because I know many girls who are via Twitter, hello Crystal, and Sam, that they find Bogey very attractive, and so that's kind of what the song's about, and knowing that it's not going to go anywhere, but you can just enjoy it anyway. Admission over. But when I came to write it, after I said that to myself, I ran upstairs, got my guitar, and I actually wrote it quite quickly. I came up with the chorus, and then I started writing the verses, and I'd got my little thing here, first chords, but I wrote a load of words down. Fuck's sake, that. Ooh, excuse me, my French. Talk, smoke, stare, walk, laugh, grin, and that's where I kind of started doing the verses. All the verses are, I like the way you stand, and I like the way you stare, and I like the way you blow smoke into the air. I won't do the melody. You can wait for that one. But they kind of go like that. And I basically went and then sat down and wrote all the things I liked about Bogey and Sam in this. And just the things that stood out to me. I've written down where he tilts his hat. If you notice about Bogey, he always has his hat on a slight tilt. All his hats, and he rocks it very nicely. Even in those like captain caps, it's perfect. And to have and have not, it looks great. And I also wrote down the lines, obviously, and I fitted those in. And I feel like I actually tried to keep it perfectly. So it kind of fits in with John Huston trying to stick to the lines. So I stuck to the lines and put them in there. So much so that one of the last verses I kept changing it because I couldn't remember if he says sweetheart in it. And I was trying to get sweetheart to rhyme with something. But I thought it's not in there. So I'm going to make my life difficult and have to change it. But actually it worked out for the better because I prefer the version I came up with, and it doesn't include sweetheart because I think he does say it at the beginning. But I couldn't remember. Yeah, because one of the quotes I like is that they say you're the most wildest and unpredictable person I've ever known, and that's in there. But I actually don't have the line "the stuff that dreams are made of" in it, but that's quite a hard thing to put in, and that's the most well-known line in it. But I'm very pleased with that song, and I hope you like it. It's gone quite, not rocky. It's got a I'd slightly aim to it be a bit like the Edwyn Collins Never Met a Girl Like You Before kind of vibe. But it's gone in a kind of Edwyn Collins meets Duran Duran kind of vibe right now, which sounds cool. Obviously with certain bits over the top. So I hope you all like it, and maybe I'll show you a clip at some point in another update. But for now, you'll have to wait. Thanks to everybody who's said they liked it, my video so far. Crystal, I apologise that you read this in the morning, time difference wise, in America, and you get very excited about the album and then you have to wait around. Apologies, but keep being excited, and everyone keep sharing this around, because yeah, I feel good about this album. So I will see you next week. Stay happy, stay safe, and I will see you next week.